Okay, we will gavel in the Newport Planning Commission meeting for July 7th at 5:36. Can I call the roll?
Commissioner O'Malley,
Here.
Commissioner Kermes,
Here.
Commissioner Fueling,
Here.
Commissioner Bonilla,
Here.
Chair Lady.
Here. Thank you. Meeting minutes, item 3 on the agenda. Everybody have a chance to look at those? I didn't see any changes. If you don't have any changes, I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll motion to pass.
Can I get a second? Okay, I have 2 motions to pass. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Meeting minutes approved. Okay, we'll move right on to number 4. Are you guys good?
Yeah.
Okay, as good as we're gonna get. Go ahead. This is regarding the public hearing and DALEY electric expansion, so.
Commissioner, Planning Commission, we have a presentation tonight by Madison, and we'll get going.
Yes, good evening, commissioners. So today in front of you, DALEY Electric is in for their conditional use permit and variance requests. You previously saw the concept plan for this in December of last year, so they're officially back for their official submission. This is the agenda in front of you. So kind of what we're going to talk about, we're going to get into their conditional use, their variances, and then we'll talk about some specifics of the project. We'll get into our findings, our staff recommendation, and then you'll have your public hearing and a decision, hopefully. So this is the site on the screen in front of you. If you'll notice, it's just east of City Hall to us, so just right across the street. The applicant is currently proposing this on 3 parcels. So one is the farthest west parcel is the existing parcel, and then they're looking to combine it with the 2 vacant parcels to the east. Here's a project overview for you. So as previously noted, they're here for a conditional use permit. This is for a contracting use in the MX district. The variances, which we'll dive into in the presentation. It's currently zoned MX3, the general mixed use district, and then it currently has a future land use of commercial/residential, and then there are those PADs. The acreages total is about 0.8, so it's 0.4 for the existing parcel and then 0.2 for each of the vacant parcels. This is the site as it exists today. So you'll see the existing building on the west parcel. And then this is the proposal in front of you tonight. So they're proposing a new addition, about 8,600 square feet, as well as a new parking lot to the south. And then we'll talk some more about access and landscaping as we get into it. But this is kind of just a general high-level site plan in front of you. So the conditional use permit you're looking at, so within the general mixed use district, it requires a conditional use permit for contracting uses, which is what this current use falls under. Specific criteria for contracting uses, for contracting offices, are identified in section 36-308. They include that the parcel must be 1 acre or larger. The applicant has applied for a variance to this requirement, and then it must front a public street with a functional classification of a minor collector or minor arterial, and this is met as proposed. The variance requests in front of you, and we'll dive deeper into these as we get through the proposal, but generally the contracting offices less than 1 acre that we talked about, they're looking for lot coverage, building and parking setbacks, window coverage, landscaping, and then other standards if identified through further review, and we'll kind of talk about what that means through access as well. These are the bulk standards in front of you. These are also in your report. The highlighted blue are the ones that the applicant is requesting flexibility through a variance for. So that minimum lot area for the CUP, they're also requesting a lot coverage variance. So they're currently on their existing 1 parcel at about 95%. So they'll be lessening that, but they will still be slightly above the lot coverage permitted within the district. Additionally, the front yard setback, I should note, staff had some conversations about the front yard, what we would consider that, and kind of looking at what the existing front yards are on the site, even though they'll be combined, we kind of decided that 21st Street makes the most sense to be considered the front yard. Since it has 3 frontages on 3 different streets, it was, there's some flexibility in code that permits staff to kind of make a determination on what the front yard will be considered. So moving forward, when we're talking about the front yard, we'll be talking about 21st Street to the north. So they're looking for a setback for their structure. So they need 10 feet. They're looking at about 5 feet. And then the minimum setbacks for parking and drive aisles. They need 5 feet here. They're looking about 4 feet and 8 inches. And it's just a portion of the existing parking lot. I should note the minimum setbacks for parking is currently 0 in the front. So the parking lot goes right up to that property line. They're not looking for a variance to that because it's legally non-conforming. So that's why that's noted on there as well. These are the flexibility standards we just talked about. So you'll see to the north where that new addition is encroaching in that front yard setback. The blue highlighted area is where the 10 feet would be. So the portion within that blue highlighted area is what's encroaching. And then on the south of the site, you'll see that's where the parking setback will be. I know it's kind of hard to see on this drawing, but in the northwestern portion of the site, that parking will be encroaching just a small portion of that. In terms of the building design that we're looking at, this is what the applicant has proposed. They appear to meet all material standards for the building. Staff has made a note that the applicant may look at updating the building to look a little bit more office and less industrial. As we see this road redevelop, I think we're looking at offices along this corridor more than we are industrial uses. Looking at the building design, I also want to point out the windows. So the applicant is seeking a variance to the window requirement. So for the MX3 district, in terms of building design, we're looking at 40% window coverage for office uses on the first floor fronting a public street. So it would be for those 3 sides, the west, the north, and the east. Combined, they're at around 23% is kind of what they're currently looking at. Staff are supportive of this flexibility, but have added a recommended condition that the applicant look at expanding the windows on the second story. So the first floor is only what's considered in that window coverage requirement, but we think to supplement that, it feels appropriate to ask the applicant to look at expanding those second story windows, kind of adding to that office feel, making it feel a little less industrial on the site. This is that building design. These are some renderings the applicant has provided to kind of give you a better idea of what it'll look like on site. Landscaping and screening. So for this site, code requires 1 tree per 1,000 square feet of non-impervious surface. And then of the trees provided, 25% of them need to be overstory deciduous and 25 need to be coniferous. They're currently required 9 trees on site. They're proposing 23 trees, which meets the requirement. But of those 23, 25%, which would be 6 trees, would be required to be deciduous. They're only proposing 3. So they're asking for a variance to this requirement as well. Staff are supportive of this requirement. We believe it's appropriate based on, the amount of landscaping they're proposing on site. It, is significantly higher than they're required to do. So we believe that standard is appropriate. In addition, they're required 1 tree per 50 feet of frontage. This is obviously a 3-fronted lot, so they have a pretty decent amount of frontage. They will be required 4 trees. They're currently proposing 0. So they're also requesting a variance to this requirement. Regarding their standards, their parking lot landscaped islands are conforming. They meet all parking landscaping requirements. And then the screening we're looking at, so all loading areas and all parking lots are required to be screened from residential and then from any adjacent roadways. They are, as you'll see on the drawing, proposing some pretty significant landscaping on the southern border. However, looking at the requirements, it requires some pretty strict opacity. So staff have added a recommended condition that the fencing be 100% opaque along that southern property line. This should help mitigate some of the lighting to the adjacent residential to the south. Parking and loading. So we've broken it down per use. So for the office use, they would be required 13 spaces. They need 1 space per 250 square feet. And then for the storage use, they need 1 space per 2,000 square feet. So they would need 5 spaces. They're proposing 24 spaces, which is more than the required 18 spaces. So parking is appropriate. Loading. So they have loading in the front of the site. So there's an existing loading bay in the front. This is not screened, but it exists already. So they're screening it to their best ability from the west. And then there will be new loading bays added to the south off of that new addition. So they're screening that with the retaining wall and then that fencing we talked about in the past. Regarding access and circulation, so they currently have 3 access points, 2 off of 21st Street and then 1 off of Sanket Avenue. They are proposing to keep all 3 access points. Staff have recommended a condition within, the city engineering memo and then staff's recommendation as well that removes one of the 21st Street access points. With further consultation with the county, this is also a requirement the county is requiring, and they are recommending that the east access be removed of the 2. So that's why you'll see that one X'd out. We are asking that the applicant provide updated civil plans. We're not totally sure when one of the access points is removed, what that may do to the required variances. So if it'll change any of the variances, we kind of want to know the implications of that before we bring it forward fully to city council. So we're kind of talking to the applicant, getting their feedback on it. But it's kind of a major concern from engineering and, public works perspective. And then the county as well, having that road. Regarding sidewalks, so the applicant is not currently showing any pedestrian walkways or connections. They are looking at dedicating this right-of-way. So if you'll look just right below those red squares, that black division line between the property, that'll all be dedicated right-of-way. The applicant will be required to do an easement with the city for any improvements within that right-of-way, but that gives the city some ability to add a future sidewalk on 21st Street, as development continues to happen in this area. In terms of the review comments, so the city engineer provided a memo. These are some of their general comments. So they're looking for, like I mentioned previously, the access configuration on 21st Street. What does that reconfiguration look like for the city? The 3 properties will need to be combined. That's staff's requirement as well. They'll need a lot consolidation. That's an administrative application, so they won't need to come back to you for that, but that is something they'll have to do. And then the entitlements they'll need to get through that in terms of like easements and agreements with the city. Tree plantings will not be permitted over the underground stormwater basin, so they'll be potentially looking at amending some of their landscape plan to account for that. And then, I think that engineering will need some more information on grading, drainage, and stormwater management. These are the required findings that the city needs to look at when looking at variances and conditional use permits. I'm sure you all are familiar with these. If you're not, we just put them on the screen just for reference. These should all be met through the application. As noted in your staff report, they're either met as proposed or met with the conditions. These are some of our recommended conditions of approval. We summarized these, so this isn't the exact wording you'll see in your staff report. But kind of generally, we're looking for the improvements to conform with the submitted plans, property taxes and utility fees. The applicant needs to receive that lot consolidation we talked about. The agreements with the city for the right-of-way improvements, stormwater basin easements. The window area is increased along the second story. Fencing will be 100% opaque, and then it'll be required to be maintained properly. They'll need any city watershed or state permits. The vehicle circulation, like we talked about. And then exterior lighting or signage needs to be reviewed by city staff. No outdoor storage is permitted, so everything will be kept inside their building. And then within 1 year of approval, they need to begin the CUP and variance and record with the county. This is an example motion.
Back one real quick. Number 4, does that also include the entrance? Is that part of one of those things where the entrance has to be decided upon, how many there are, whether they shut one down?
Yep, so the city engineering
Yeah,
memo,
but that's number 4 on this one, part of number 4?
that would not be a part of number 4. That would be a part of the city watershed and state permits.
Got it.
And then we have a specific condition that they need to address comments in the city engineering memo.
Sounds good.
So it's not as a part of that specific condition, but
got
yeah,
it.
generally. And then this is an example motion. If the planning commission would like to recommend approval to city council. And then I can flip back to any slides that we need to, and the applicant is present as well for any
You, for
questions.
me, just go back to the satellite picture. Can you zoom into that at all, or is that not possible on a static slide like this?
It is a PDF, so we should be able to zoom in.
No, yeah, I just
don't
wanted to
know
see how the
clear it
parking is
gets
configured in the back
once you start to zoom in.
in lieu of taking a field trip. Yeah, thanks. So currently, the parking is already butted pretty much right up against the house in the rear. What types, if any, complaints have the property gotten from residents in their current daily operations? No pun intended.
That's a good question, Joe.
Chair, members of the commission, I'm not aware of any complaints that we've received regarding any issues as far as
Daily operation times?
zero, none. But I've only been here about 4 years, although I have some concerns about them not waving enough when they get their mail. So, no.
I bet they do now.
No. Very seriously, we haven't received any complaints regarding noise, lighting, or traffic, anything like that, which are fairly usual things that we kind of, would receive complaints on with a business. But I'm not aware of any complaints.
Through the information online, it was brought to my attention that one of those properties is potentially bank-owned behind there.
Okay. Yeah.
Just curious if we know anything about that and if it's the one on the east or west side of this lots or single lot, and how they would be affected by the increased use of their, the increasing of the use of the property.
So, Chair, members of the commission, first off, it's the property to the east, so it's the property on the right side if you look at the screen there. Second off, I am aware it did go through foreclosure. And as far as any impacts there, again, it would be screened. I'm not sure if the bank would have any complaints about this. Frankly, I have some concerns about how the bank is keeping the property.
Right.
But
Just asked to see what the future effects of expanding the use on that footprint could be for a resident potentially.
Sure. I mean, frankly, any future resident that bought that property would buy it potentially with this expansion, so they'd be aware. And for the property on the west side, frankly, I'm not aware of any complaint or any issue from that resident in regards to the parking or the current use. Not to say that that wouldn't be the case in the future. So,
Those are my only questions before the public hearing. Anybody else has any?
Nope.
No? Okay. So if we're good, we'll go ahead and get the public hearing started. If you'd want to say something, just come up to the podium, state your name, where you're from, or your address, and we'd be happy to hear what you have to say. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing at 5:53.
Good evening, Darby Regan, 2550 Poplar Avenue East, North St. Paul, Minnesota. Thank you for having us, and staff, thank you for the amount of time you've put in to put this report together in this presentation. This is now our official application after going through the concept plan this winter. And again, we appreciate all the time and support we've received from staff and as well as the preliminary review from Planning Commission and Council this winter. So we're proposing our addition, and the Daleys, Tom and Jackie behind me, are excited to continue their investment into the city of Newport. We've got a number of comments, and I don't know if the timing would be for us to come in after, if there are other public comments, maybe for specific terms of condition, or if we should do that now, or if you guys have a preference on that.
Chair, members of the commission, I would recommend that we take additional public comments and then close the public hearing. Generally, I'd say the applicant would speak prior to the public hearing to present any information, and then folks in the audience could comment. But with that said, however the commission would like to do.
Yeah, go ahead and do that now, since we didn't do it before the public hearing was open, so people have a chance
Perfect.
after if they want to speak.
That sounds great. Just a few comments on the proposed condition as I flip through our lovely staff report. First off, on the windows facing 21st Street, we will work to increase the amount of windows there. Currently, if you're able to, Madison or Joe, pull up the elevations, not all of those windows serve a second floor mezzanine. We have a partial mezzanine above our office space. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the actual floor plan of the project. I believe it was part of our application documents. But we have a partial mezzanine that is limited just due to the fact of how much square footage it serves in the storage space behind. But the windows you kind of see, if you're looking at the floor plan to the right, where in the addition, the right side of the addition above the entrance, there are first 5 windows or so, and then there's like a gap. So that's where we have a wall on the interior of the building, and there's no window there. The windows to the right would be open into the storage space, and the windows on the left would be, there's a specific term of glass I'm trying to talk about that's basically blacked out so that they're not real windows. They're just giving the illusion that the glass is there because they are not really serving a purpose at that height. And to eliminate the real, concept of having windows that look into, storage of boxes. So that's why those windows are shallower up there. The windows on the main level are as low as we can get them without creating water issues along the grade, and they're about as high as they can go to the underside of the ceiling on the inside of the floor, and each office along that floor has windows. So we are doing our best along that to hit that 40% mark. And those are just some of the challenges. As you can see, the grade of the site, we are about, as you work your way east, we lose a significant amount of building frontage to just underground to maintain the continuous slab elevation. That being said, we're willing to work with you guys to increase the amount of windows. Is there a target you're looking for? Or if we'll do our best to increase that. I don't know if there's this explicit number we're looking for, or would you just like us to put something together, present it, and go from there?
So we'll the back and forth, we won't do that.
Yeah. I think so. Chair, members of the commission, generally, I think like any design standards or agreements that staff would make with an applicant should be done, with the scheduled meeting between staff and applicant. With that said, I think staff is willing to work with the applicant in regards. I think the code says 40%. We'd certainly be shooting towards that. With that said, any information the applicant had that wanted to discuss that, we'd feel fine. I think high level, 21st Avenue is going to see significant development in the coming years. This is a highly visible avenue in Newport. It's connecting to significant other investments that we have. And this is an entryway to the city. So we want it to look as nice as possible, which is why we have this standard. With that said, there are reasons why there are variances and things like that, and staff is willing to work with folks. But I don't think it's appropriate to kind of have a back and forth at a planning commission meeting.
Fair enough. So brought up your comment, they heard you, and so.
Yep.
Sounds good.
And then for, I guess going through these terms, is it an appropriate time, staff, planning commission, to make adjustments to how these are written on the staff report at this time? Or is that?
No, I would assume not. And was this
Yeah.
publicly put out, the staff report and everything? So
Yeah.
There was ample review?
Correct. Chair, members of the council, I think, or commission, I think the packet went out last week, and
I think last Thursday.
we've frankly had lots in back and forth between the design team and the city, so I don't think there should be anything
Right.
necessarily
Well,
surprising.
The public forum, really, the time for the discussion. so
Yeah.
That happens before the public hearing.
I
No,
yeah,
no,
I
that's what I'm
apologize.
just trying to explain.
Yeah.
No, you're not offending me at all. I just want to make sure that that all follows its flow. And so the time for those comments, for adjustments to the approvals that we have in front of us, or deapprovals,
Disapprovals?
disapprovals that we have in front of us, that would have been something to do before this public hearing and then have that verbiage changed. That's not to say that you couldn't have a conversation, but we do want to hear your
And Chair, members of the commission, this is just, Planning Commission recommends council makes final decision.
right.
So I think, with that said, there's still going to be plenty of opportunity. I think
those
being that there's still a number of items that are frankly up in the air, we will not bring this item to council until things are settled out and very clear. And staff can always come with a recommendation, and council can decide to either accept that or change, conditions, languages, variances, anything like that. But that's kind of just a high level of what the process looks like.
100%.
Understood. No, I just was, in the event that we were going to have a motion to approve based on these conditions, I wanted to make sure we had terms that we were agreeable to on there. And if the timing for that comes later, I'm happy to wait for that or have a conversation offline with staff.
Yep.
Chair, members of the commission, generally, staff make a recommendation. Now, if there's specific proposals that the applicant would like changed, they could make that absolutely to y'all, and then you could put that in your motion as far as the changes. So if there's specific language, I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, you can,
Okay.
you can bring that stuff up.
Yep. Yeah, I probably started with the one that had the least specific
The
language.
discussion side of it with the city, that's the part that
Yep.
happens after if
Nope.
there's anything else.
So, jumping to outside storage not permitted, we would like the opportunity to have work vans stored in the back in the event, Daily Electric employees take their work vans home with them. In the event there's an ebb and flow in employee counts, and there were, say, a couple vans that were stored there for a period of time, not that it's the primary use of that space. It is space for employee parking, but if vans were, excess vans came to be for whatever reason, the ability to park vans in the back would be something we're asking for. So that's just part of that outdoor storage, item 5 in the staff report, which is different than the recommended conditions that I'm staring up at the screen.
It's 9, I believe.
Correct.
Yep, and like I said, these conditions are just summarized
Yes.
for presentation purposes, but yep, number 5 in the staff report.
Trash enclosure, we do plan to store trash indoors. And the question regarding the fencing along the back, you have 100% opacity for the fence along the southern property line, and then also landscaping screening. Currently, there is a chain link fence with slats on that southern property line. And the question would be, would it be acceptable for a landscaping, as proposed, the landscaping screening with the chain link fence and slats? Or would that be something that you're looking for 100% opacity and landscaping, or would you accept just the 100% opacity fence? So those are just comments I have. And we can pick this up with staff at another time, but just some things we're thinking about for the public hearing.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So that's all I have.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody.
Hi there.
Hello?
Tom Daly, 2447 Timberview Drive, Hastings. It's a beautiful, quick 18-minute drive from our house. Love it. Love Newport. I think we've been here since 2019, Jackie. You guys have been great to us, and I hope we've been great back, and we just want to keep on keeping on. So, yeah, any questions, comments, concerns, our door's always open, and,
Appreciate that.
yeah, just want to be a good neighbor.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I don't know if there's anybody, does anybody else want to come up and say something? Just state your name and your address when you get there.
Dave Castillo at 2123 Second Avenue. The only concern I have is that could do anything to our property, any ways or form.
I understand the question. I don't think anybody here could make that call, but I understand the question.
But nobody knows for sure then, huh?
I mean,
Sorry,
question is will this property affect his property? And I don't,
I mean, chair, members of the commission, I think this would be an expansion of the business. So assuming there would be additional traffic, things like that.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, they're not gonna be, like a property, something that's gonna go wrong with our property. I mean, the value and stuff like that. Or the taxes are gonna jump sky high or something.
Chair, members of the commission, no idea.
there's really no way, and none
Yeah.
of us up here would be.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just wondering,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
are you currently, I mean, are they currently good neighbors and this is?
oh, yeah, I
So
got no
then,
problem with the people at all.
I mean, I
No.
think I would, if,
The only thing, like I said, I was concerned if it's gonna affect our property by any ways.
I mean, it could.
I don't think
right?
so.
But well, one way or the other, it could. I mean, there's just no way for us to be able to say that. I know that if it happened and you saw the rendering, it will sure look a lot better than it does.
Oh, yes, no,
So
there's no
then-
complaint
so-
about them.
So with that, I'm not gonna guarantee you anything, but I will say, you saw what the property looked like. It looks a lot better than it does now.
No, I agree
So,
with that.
so that,
The building, I don't mind. They can
Yeah.
put up as big as building you want. That's a
I
business,
understand. No, I
I
get
just
it.
wanna know if they're gonna affect
I
our
understand,
property, that's
yeah,
all.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming up. All right. Seeing nobody else, we will close the public hearing at 6:08. Okay, went a little backwards on that one. My apologies. So I have a couple questions, discussion items. So I think your summary takes care of his question about the parking, right? Because it says, except for daily vehicle parking, right? So we're good there. That question, they would be able to park vehicles out there. It'd be storage of materials, is that what we're saying?
Chair, members of the commission, I think they very specifically said they potentially could store excess vehicles overnight.
Okay,
So I don't think that that would necessarily be allowed with this condition.
with the now outside except daily, because daily parking meaning it's leaving at some point during the day. It's not being parked for 24 hours.
That's how I would interpret that, correct? And Madison, how would you interpret it?
Yeah, I would agree. I would think that daily parking rate is the usual in and out. If you're going to have a substantial amount of vehicles, for more than 24 hours, even if it's just for a few days, I would say that does qualify under that outdoor storage.
Currently, are there any, I guess I don't drive by a lot at night. Is there currently trucks being parked out front, outside the bays? I mean, they only have, I think, one or two, but currently.
Chair, members of the commission, I think there are occasionally vehicles parked in the back. I don't think I've seen anything in the front.
Okay.
But I only drive by twice a day.
No, right. I saw somewhere where they were eliminating trees. Don't we usually get asked for funds in lieu of stuff like that?
Potentially, but
It was like 4.
I'm not sure
Okay.
at that. Was that included in the?
There was something in here that said they were going to be getting rid of 4 and not replacing them, but I didn't hear anything about
Or instead of the 9, they're
Right.
doing 4.
something like that.
There's like 23.
I know.
Right. And you're supposed to have, I don't know.
25% of it being,
Oh,
deciduous.
deciduous versus
So I just-
coniferous or whatever.
I just heard that, and something we talk about often is that green space.
Yeah.
I don't think they're meeting the requirement, like they're within the amount they're permitted to remove on their site without
what
having
you're
to replace.
It's just the type,
It's just the type.
correct?
Okay.
Is there, like, do we have a reason, like, or that we're,
To not have what happened in St. Paul when all those elm trees had to get taken out, you have to diversify, so if invasive species.
You want a
come in,
variety of
you
trees on the
won't have,
site.
Okay,
Every
fair.
single tree.
fair?
So I got, my two main questions was complaints, current complaints. As far as the fencing, I can't imagine wanting to live behind them without something blocking sight, line of sight. And I've seen, we have other properties in the city that use that chain length with that striping, and I've seen how terrible it can be to upkeep. It breaks, it gets brittle after a
I
year.
feel that's just like putting a Band-Aid on a
I
problem.
agree. So
versus
I would,
Putting the proper
so
fence in.
for me, the number 6, I would want that to remain. The
I
fencing.
agree.
Because we've seen what that slatted stuff does. It's all over the city and none of it's maintained. Not saying that they wouldn't, but, the windows facing 21st.
Like I said, they're willing
40
to work on that one, it sounded like.
So they're currently with the square footage, the front facing, they're required to have 40%
Correct, 40% on the first floor
floor.
facing a public street.
Got it.
So it would just be under, so like, for example, on the northern elevation, just under that orange band about is where their first floor is. So everything under that is required to be 40%. With that, they're about at 23%. So that's what they're getting the variance for. It sounds like the applicant is willing to work with staff. We would be looking to, I think we understand they're sort of maxed out on that 21st Street. So those second-story windows is what I think we're looking.
And the
to increase.
grading is caused by the street, right? Because there's actually a hill going up that road. So that's why they have to have that depth towards the, what is this?
Yeah, I
towards
think
the
that's just the
freeway.
natural
Yeah,
grade
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah,
property,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
So we wouldn't be looking for like a specific percent or anything to change. You would be approving the variance as proposed for the first floor, and then staff can work with
Because this is all a
the
proposal.
applicant.
You're gonna have continued conversations with this developer, and then it's gonna be brought to city council. So this is, right.
Correct.
Chair, members of the commission, I think the intent with the 40% with any, building in the MX3 is to make it look nice. So at the end of the day, we want this building to look as nice as possible, and generally glass is considered a high exterior material. So we would just want something, some more glass or some more higher end materials on the exterior, and something that frankly just made this area of the city more attractive. 23%, I definitely understand why, with the explanation tonight and also the elevations, but I think we would still, frankly want more somewhere. And then I think staff would be considering to recommend, the plan. But currently, I think we can do better, so.
Okay. What do you got?
My couple comments are, I believe when I moved to town, it was a car wash, then it was a wood floor business.
Yep.
And we didn't want to let them expand, so they moved out of town. I think they're a thriving business. And then there was a supermarket, and now DALEY Electric, which I must say is a very nice-looking building and complements the city coming in and all that. I thought our comprehensive plan, though, we wanted to make this the gateway, which would bring people in to come see Newport. Is this in our vision that we want in the gateway community? I believe we called it the gateway in the comprehensive plan.
Chair, members of the commission, in that comprehensive plan from 2040, the city had kind of two decisions to make. One is, where is our downtown? And if you recall, Chair and Commission, we did a 2023 area study. And the area study really identified Hastings Avenue as probably our commercial corridor. With that said, I think this is still a gateway of the city, obviously. Part of that area study also identified the area across the street from this building as a potential future entertainment/office district. There are 4 parcels that the county owns, and there's 2 parcels that the city own across the street. And we also are focusing on, the city's made a heavy investment on 7th Avenue. We did purchase 2.5 acres there. We have the potential Red Rock Villas development. And then, of course, we're, managing other properties on 7th Avenue. We did identify through that 2023 area study that we want it to be residential between probably Tanucci's and all the way down. So we want to have residential with the market study that we did in 2023. We identified that with additional vehicle trips that could push retail and other investments in the community. And we're hoping that will happen on Hastings. With that said, we have the MWF properties and we've really pushed them hard with the exterior of those apartment buildings. And I think they look pretty good. And now this is rounding the curve. So this is where a lot of folks come and get to see Newport. And so, I do still see it as a gateway. You can see the large investment that the community made. We're sitting in it right now. We have the signs out front. I'm impartial because it's where I office, but it looks good. So I think we're still trying to encourage that. With all of that said, I think this will be a great addition. This has been a really good business for our community. I know we want them to stay. I meet with them often. I kid when I say they don't wave enough. But no, I think we're there. I think this will be a great investment for the community, and I think it's going to be very complementary to what we're trying to do in this area. Again, with development, I would say, you can always hope and dream, but what's walking in the door and who's willing to invest? And so I think this is a good, a great investment, frankly. So, yeah.
Back to the recommendations real quick. Yeah, keep going, Mike. I just want to have these up while you're talking.
No, I pretty much, like I said, it's very nice looking property. It's hasn't always been a very nice looking piece of property, but it very is now, and,
Right, and I think that
complement the business.
the changes, they look good, they look professional. It's not, some of the other properties that we're dealing with. I think it's a good.
Oh, I'm all.
I mean, come look at my house right now. I really need to do some work.
No, and I'm all for, they own the property, they should be able to do what they want on that property also, as long as it aligns with our vision that we had.
Yeah, my only other thing was that 4.7 from 11 feet. That's less than half of that easement. I don't know if it was an easement or what it was, but it was supposed to be 11, but they could only get it to 4 point something feet.
The parking setbacks,
Yeah.
it's 5 and they're at 4.11 point something. And the commission and council can approve a variance to their requirement, which staff are recommending. We believe it's appropriate to have that parking lot. And like I said, that parking lot is existing. The reason that's not considered legally non-conforming, like the parking, is because they're expanding that area. So even though the expansion isn't within that setback area, they are expanding that lot. And so in theory, the city could ask them to come into conformance with that, but we believe it's appropriate to give a variance to that. I know it is kind of silly, half an inch.
Looking through the packet, I was going to piece this thing apart, but now hearing it all and hearing from the developer, hearing the next steps of the process, I'm overall okay with 1 through 13. But I thought there was going to be lots of changes. I was like, oh, there's so many things on here, but I don't think any of it's unreasonable, and I think that further discussion sounds like needs to be had if that's how they feel, and you guys are good at what you do, so it's advantageous just to continue the conversation, and I don't know how you guys feel.
Could you go back to the slide with the setbacks? So I wonder if the one you're talking about was that minimum setback from the front,
Yeah, the
the
10.
10 feet
I was
to the
only worried about
4,
the front, not
to
so
the
much
5.
about the back.
Yep,
Yeah.
sure. So that front is just that portion of the building, the northeast portion of the building. So
And that still leaves room for a possible future sidewalk?
it should. The possible future sidewalk would likely be within that right-of-way dedication area, which is that black dotted line above it. So it would be north of that anyway. So it would be definitely 5 feet away from the building.
pretty close. So that double dotted line would be the proposed bike path.
The easement for the bike path.
Easement for it.
That's just what the area would be right-of-way dedicated.
Chair and Commission, to be clear, I would not recommend a bike path. There's not enough room to do it on this side of the street. I would recommend a small, just walking, probably a sidewalk. A lot of folks call them sidewalks. A path is usually 8 feet. I think a sidewalk is usually 5. So it would be smaller. And being that there is a regional trail directly across the street, I think connections from this sidewalk to the other side, we could do some expansion there to make it more pedestrian and bicycle, friendly. But with that said, I think if you're going to really ride your bike, you're probably looking across the street. Additionally, in the future, we are going to put a brand new trail right here. In 2028, that'll be constructed, going down to Cedar Lane, the park on Cedar Lane. So there's going to be, a loop with that going down 16th Street also, which will be designed specifically for bicycles. And not to say folks couldn't still ride their bike, but it would just be a little bit more cramped at 5 feet.
Okay.
Let's make some movements.
I'm waiting. Are you guys
Let's
okay
pull
with?
up the,
Yeah, pull up the recommendations real quick. Does anybody want to change or tweak any or add any? I'm good based on this discussion that they've covered.
now that we've discussed it.
Yes.
I'm
Had
good.
lots of questions covered.
My only one would be with the outside storage one, if we want to tweak that at all, possibly to say, functioning work vehicles can be parked.
Well, I normally know that electrical vans have a lot of value in them, and they don't normally want to leave them outside.
Correct.
So it's probably gonna be something of a car being left overnight, or
Right.
I took the van, or whatever. It's not a very good spot to hide storage, being across from City Hall. So I don't think it's going to be much of an issue, but,
I think also we've had problems with storage in the past, and I think it's advantageous for the city to protect ourselves from storing things anywhere and everywhere, as long as you think somebody can't see it, right? It's a matter of perception. If I can see it and you can't, it's an eyesore for me not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think leaving it in there and having them discuss it more is probably good, because the city has gotten burned by not adding storage language in the past, and as you can see, as you go around town, some of these places will never come into conformance unless we do something about it. So I'd rather not talk about it later and do it now than pull back if they need to, But I agree. I think it's something as a business, you want to use your property however you want to use it, and if you can't store anything, it becomes asphalt. It's just blank space for a car.
Yep.
So I agree, but I think maybe it's okay to let the city talk with them about that, and then whatever they push on the council, maybe just further discussion. I don't know. I don't want you to feel like I'm bulldozing. I drive around the town, and we've got exterior storage problems everywhere. Everywhere. I used to have it. I got a letter. I had to move a car.
Yeah, me too.
So, if you guys are okay with it, again, you guys are part of this too, so I just don't want to bulldoze anybody, so.
No,
If you're good with 1 through 13, then I'll look for a
Yep.
motion. If not, look for changes. Do you want to bring up your recommended motion?
Thank you.
And I'm not going to repeat it, so just say it first. Okay.
Okay, I move to recommend the city council approve of the conditional use permit and variances requests by APPRO Development for the DALEY Electric Project with the findings of facts and conditions proposed by staff.
Okay, I have a first motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
I have 2 motions. All those in favor of moving this to city council or our recommendations, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Anybody else have anything for the evening? No? Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll go
Motion
ahead.
to adjourn?
Yes.
Oh,
Can I
yes.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
I have 2 motions to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. Meeting is.